unique opportunity to come out to a friend's farm, and he is currently checking his beehive. So I figured it would be a really neat way to share some honey beehive history with you. And if you think a 6-foot hoop skirt is good for social distancing, bees are better. I am not about to get very close to Bill. So we have had a very long and intimate history with honey and with the honey bee, dating back to 8000 BC. There are cave paintings of people harvesting honeys from combs. The Egyptians actually included honeybees and honeycomb in their hieroglyphs. But people didn't start actually beekeeping in the traditional sense until the Middle Ages. And at that point, they were using large woven baskets, beehive-shaped woven baskets called skeps. The fundamental problem with a skep, though, is that when they came to harvest, usually in the spring, in the summer, and right before the winter, those skeps would have to be destroyed because the woven baskets absorbed everything. The combs were completely stuck to the inside. So the combs were destroyed, the bees often died, and it just wasn't the best way to maximize your honey supply because your bee population would be gone. So that was a traditional way of doing it for a very, very long time until a gentleman by the name of Huber from Switzerland created his original wooden box hive. And the neat thing about that was before Huber's box hive, people didn't really understand that you could move an entire bee colony safely. And he came up with this idea, which, interestingly enough, to access that hive, those slats all opened like the leaves of a book. So again, you could move the colony, but you would end up doing significant destruction to the hive and the bees themselves. Now, for those of us from Pennsylvania, you'll be, I'm sure, fascinated to know, you're fascinated, right? You're fascinated. Fascinated to know that the gentleman who is considered the father of modern beekeeping is from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and in 1853, Mr. Langstroth, Lorenzo Langstroth, actually invented the hive that we know today, which is the removable slats. Maybe Bill can remove a slat so that you can see the slats come straight up. There you go. Isn't that amazing? And yes, Bill is wearing a suit, and no, I am not. One of us is sane, and the other one is a fool who likes to dress in costume. I am not allergic to bees. However, I think that might be a little bit careless of me to assume that a giant hive of bees probably couldn't kill me. We do have EpiPens on hand. So back to Langstroth. Langstroth came up with this idea where the hives, the slats, would be stuck in, let's see, better viewpoint. So you see there's multiple slats, and each one of those slats can be removed individually, and it does less damage to the hive itself unless they start, what is it called? Cross-combing. And that means that they build the hive all together, they build the comb all together, and that's problematic. However, Langstroth understood that was problematic, and apparently the bee scientists currently are working on a way, especially in Europe, to fix that. Who knew? So in order to remove the honey, which is obviously fundamentally what you want to do with this process, is take the honey out and also get the wax out. There was a gentleman who invented a centrifugal machine in 1860s that would spin the comb, and all of the honey would be extracted, and then you could put the combs right back in and the bees would go straight back to honey production, which was hugely helpful and enabled people to really up the production and the harvesting of honey, which was, until we had a massive sugarcane market, one of the only ways to sweeten foods or wine or champagne, or if you really, really want to get your alcohol on, ferment it and make mead. So go to a Ren fair and try some mead with a designated driver. Anyway, so those are the big pivotal points of the development of beekeeping as we know it today. Some of the things that I don't think people really recognize or appreciate is just how integral bees and pollination are to our modern food production. In fact, bees are used to pollinate a majority of the fruit trees and quite a few commercial crops. Bees are transported across the country to help with the pollination of many commercial crops. So they really are quite important to the way that we know life today. Additionally, beeswax has been used for quite a few interesting things that lots of people obviously they know, excuse me, candles and chapstick. Burt's Bees has been quite good at, promoting the bee industry. But before then, for me specifically, beeswax was used to strengthen thread and to waterproof thread and waterproof fabrics. Beeswax was used in combination with other oils to clean and preserve leather, even polish armor, and it actually did give it a protective barrier against moisture so that armor wasn't rusting, which is hugely important if what you need is a suit of armor. Beeswax was used in candle making, but interesting to note, beeswax candles burn very quickly, so you really only had beeswax candles if you were quite wealthy, and it was shown as a sign of your status to have beeswax candles, because they burn about half, if not a quarter of the time that a soy-based or lard-based candle will. But they do burn cleaner, so that is one of the benefits.